lot of reasons to Alex Hormozi's success. His work ethic, his incredible character, always providing value, and a lot more. But there's one skill that I haven't heard anyone talk about. It really, really shines through in his content, but I personally believe it also helped him in building his businesses and building his relationships and anything having to do with people and communication. If you are new here, I'm Esty Rappaport, a brain engineer for entrepreneurs. I help them improve their 28 thinking skills, their 28 cognitive functions, so running their business is easier. Now, have you ever thought about why understanding and hopefully implementing Alex Hormozi's content was so easy? Is like, why every time he talks, like, it just makes sense and you can just understand it and hopefully implement it really quickly. You've probably heard more than once Alex Hormozi give a definition of something before he goes on to talk about it. So if he is talking about leverage, before he gives whatever he thinks about leverage, whatever the piece of content is going to be, he gives a definition of leverage. Same with speed, same with content. Like, he literally gives definitions of things before he goes on to talk about it. So no, the skill is not definitions, but the skill is labeling. Labeling is one of the 28 cognitive functions that sounds super simple at first, but is completely underrated. So what's the definition of labels? Labels is giving a name to an idea, concept, thing, person, place, to anything, so that way you can go and talk about it. That way me and you and whoever else has to understand this is on the same page about it. Now, some labels are super easy to use, okay? We all understand them. A phone, a pen, a desk. Like, we use these terms all the time and we all know exactly what a phone is, right? Some labels, we have no idea what they are. So this is like maybe medicines or scientific terms or like these complex business ideas, or really any term that you haven't heard of until you understand the definition. You don't know what that label is. There are many, many, many labels that we think we know the definition and we think we are using the labels correctly, and possibly we are, but it is different to the person we are talking to. Okay, so I have two people using the same word, but they define it differently. So their labels are having different meanings. One of my favorite examples is communication. Okay, when I say communication, what does that mean to you? Every person defines it differently and how it shows up and how they need communication, right? So I, for example, I don't like getting random texts or emails back that just say thanks or confirmed or I got this, like, unless it's a specific thing and I asked for it, because then it's just another thing for me to read and another thing that is getting in my way of doing what I want to do. My mom, on the other hand, needs you to confirm that the task was done once it was confirmed, because until you have told her this task was done, it is still an open loop in her brain, an open file in her brain, and it is still taking space in her brain until it was confirmed. So if I did a task, but I didn't communicate to her that the task was done, she will feel like I am not communicating. Versus for me, I trust that you are going to do it, and I already closed that tab as soon as I told you you are going to do it. I don't need you to communicate that to me, right? So we are both using the term communication, but we both mean it in different ways. This is why Gary Vee always says to over communicate, right? Because different people will consider communication in different ways. It's also a whole nother conversation. We could do a video on that. Actually, if you do want a video of that on like a couple of reasons of why over communication and why Gary Vee is so super passionate about it, just drop it right below and we can do a video on that. But back to Alex Hormozi and labels, right? Alex wants to make sure that whatever he is saying in any of his content, both you and any of his listeners, any of his consumers, is on the same page. So he's using labels. He's making sure to use clear labels, and he is making sure everybody talking here, or everybody in this communication here, watching the content here, is understanding the labels that he is talking about. Now, like I said, I am sure it is not just in his content. I am sure it is also with his employees, with his personal relationships, with the CEOs he deals with on a constant basis, right? He is, I'm pretty sure, using the same thing of labels, giving definitions to the words he is talking about so everybody knows what he is talking about and everybody can be on the same level. And it's not like, hey, I thought you said this, but then you said this, and like, right? Have you ever had argument with someone and like midway through you realize you're using the same word but you're talking about two different things? That is this lack of labels. Okay, now most people are not even on the level of giving definitions. They're like literally a step before that. Okay, so I'm going to share with you 3 ways that you can get better at labeling besides for just giving definitions. Okay, number 1, super important. I say this all the time, and that is stop using the words this, that, there, whatever, when there is a better word to use, right? Like put this there, put what where. Be precise about your labels, making sure you are using correct labels. Put the pickle jar on the second shelf in the pantry. There's a difference. Now you actually know what I'm talking about, okay? Number 2, when there is no label, make a label, right? We built a new system or we created this new ritual or like we're tried out this new experience. If you don't know the name for it, create a label for it. And this could actually be super fun because it doesn't really make a difference what the label is, as long as everyone who needs to understand the label understands what the definition is, then you can make up whatever label you want to make up. And number 3, if you are really struggling with labeling, this helps a lot. Walk around for 5 minutes a day, whether it's in your office, your house, park, somewhere, and just point to random items and just say what the item is. This is a mouse. This is a book. This is a sticky note. Use the correct labels for 5 minutes a day, and you're going to start noticing that your brain will be using labels in other areas of your life. You're like developing that skill of using labels. Now, if you are an entrepreneur with a successful business, but you feel like you're not operating at your best pace because of like so much happening in your life and you have so much things in business, right? Like business is just like always overwhelming and there's always things to do, but it doesn't have to stay that way. When you have stronger cognitive functions, a lot less mistakes, a lot less stress, a lot less overwhelm because your brain is operating in the best way possible. So if that is something that interests you, I'd suggest you apply to your Entrepreneur's Brain Rewired now because spots are filling up really quickly. Click on the link right below, lifepicksuniversity.com/your brain rewired. And I look forward to seeing your application. Have an awesome rest of your day and I'll catch you on the next video.